Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! Hey there, my fellow internet peeps. Buckle up, I've got a good one for you today. So I was just chilling in my cozy little home. I'm your average Joe, just an ordinary guy who happens to be a car enthusiast. I've got a sweet collection of vintage rides that I like to tinker with and show off from time to time. Now let me tell you about our Karen. Karen. She's the epitome of an entitled person. You know the type, always ready to make a fuss about the smallest things. Our story begins when she decides she doesn't want me parking my precious cars in my own driveway. Yep, you heard me right. My driveway. See, Karen lives next door to me, and apparently she thinks she owns the whole block. The moment she noticed my classic beauties lined up in my driveway, she flipped her lid. She marched over, her eyebrows raised so high they could practically touch her hairline. And she starts spouting off about how my cars are ruining the neighborhood aesthetic. Seriously, Karen? I tried to reason with her, being all calm and collected. I explained how my cars are my passion, and I took good care of them. But oh boy, that just made her angrier, and she started pointing her finger at me, her face turning all shades of red. I couldn't help but chuckle a bit because, well, she looked so ridiculous.
You can't park those monstrosities here. It's an eyesore. Think of the children.
Calm down, Karen. They are just cars and the kids love them. But no, she wasn't having any of it. And that's when she came up with her genius plan. She decides to park her car right in front of my driveway, effectively blocking me from getting my cars out. Can you believe the audacity? Now, here is where things get interesting. I'm not one to back down from a challenge. I whip out my phone and dial up a tow truck. I explain the situation, and they promise to be there in a jiffy. Karen standing there, smug as ever, thinking she's one. But little does she know karma's about to slap her silly. Sure enough, the tow truck arrives, and the driver assesses the situation. He approaches Karen, who's got this self-satisfied smirk on her face. I can't help but grin because I know what's coming. The tow truck guy explains the deal to her, and she starts going off like a firecracker.
You can't tow my car. This is harassment. I am calling the police.
The tow truck guy tells her, "Ma'am, you're parked illegally. This is a private driveway. If you don't move your car, I will have to tow it." Karen gets mad, but the tow truck guy is cool as a cucumber. He motions to his partner, and they start setting up to tow the car. Karen goes ballistic, screaming and flailing her arms like a maniac. It's quite a spectacle, let me tell you. But then out of nowhere, Karen attempts to slap me. I manage to dodge it somehow, and she tries to close on me to try a second time. But she stumbles and goes down on her own. I rush over to make sure she's okay, but she's too busy throwing a tantrum on the ground. People start gathering around, some chuckling and others shaking their heads in disbelief. The police arrive and they quickly assess the situation. They cuff Karen and escort her away, while I stand there dumbfounded. Turns out Karen had a bit of a reputation in the neighborhood for causing trouble. The police had dealt with her before, so they were more than familiar with her antics. They tell me she's getting charged with assault and trespassing, which doesn't surprise me one bit. In the end, I get my cars out of the driveway and Karen gets her just desserts. So, my dear internet fam, the moral of the story is this: don't mess with a car enthusiast's driveway. So, my dear internet fam, the moral of the story is this: do not mess with a car enthusiast's driveway. Alright guys, well, I've got a story that's gonna make you laugh, cringe, and shake your head all at once. So yeah, it goes like this: me just chilling at home minding my own business with no idea whatsoever. This day will go down in history as the day Karen unleashed her inner lumberjack on my poor front door. Now before we dive into the chaos, let me give you some background on yours truly. I'm a laid-back guy with a love for pizza, video games, and all things geeky. I live in a cozy little house in a quiet neighborhood, where the most exciting thing that happens is the occasional squirrel stealing a bird feeder. Life is good, my friends, until Karen enters the scene. So there I am, engrossed in an intense gaming session, when suddenly I hear a knock at the door. I pause the game, grumbling under my breath because nobody interrupts a man in the middle of a boss battle. I open the door and there stands Karen, hair styled to perfection, eyes wide with suspicion, and a scowl that could curdle milk. Oh boy, here we go.
I demand to come in. I heard screams coming from your house, and I need to investigate if there is a crime going on.
Me, confused. Screams? Sorry, but you must have misheard something. There is no crime here, just me and my video games. Karen huffing.
Don't lie to me. I have excellent hearing, and I know what I heard. Now step aside, or I will call the police.
Me trying to keep calm. Look, Karen, I appreciate your concern, but everything's fine here. No need to get the authorities involved. Have a great day. Karen, bless her heart, doesn't take kindly to being denied access to my criminal house. She starts raising her voice, demanding to enter, and even threatens to sue my pants off. Well, I quite like my pants where they are, thank you very much. She glares at me with a fiery determination. I gently close the door, hoping that would be the end of her relentless pursuit of non-existent crime. Oh, how wrong I was. Fast forward to a few hours later, and there is a knock at my door again. I cautiously open it, and there stands Karen, sporting an intense look in her eyes that can only be described as full-on cray-cray. But this time she's accompanied by a surprise guest. The legendary chainsaw from her husband's shit, I guess. Me, sarcastically. You planning on trimming some hedges, Karen? That chainsaw is an interesting fashion accessory. Karen furious.
You think this is a joke? I'll show you a joke.
And without any further warning, Karen revs up the chainsaw and lunges towards my front door as I freaking shot it in her face. It's like a scene straight out of a B-movie horror flick. I scramble to grab my phone and dial 911, hoping the police will arrive before Karen does any real damage. With each swipe of the chainsaw, Karen's frustration grows. But here is the funny part. My door is made of solid oak. That thing isn't budging. It's like watching a toddler trying to break into Fort Knox with a plastic toy hammer. The more she hacks away, the more I can't help but giggle at the absurdity of it all. Watching her from the near window was a sight to behold. Me still on the phone with 911. Hey guys, you won't believe what's happening here. This Karen is going full Leatherface on my door. Can you send someone over before she turns into a lumberjack? As if the universe heard my prayers, the police arrived just in time. Karen, covered in sweat and chainsaw exhaust, finally gives up her futile attempt to destroy my door. Her face twisting with rage, and she lunges towards me, fists clenched, as I open the door to meet the officers.
You're going to pay for this, you little punk.
But karma has a wicked sense of humor. As Karen charges at me, she trips over her own feet and falls flat on her face. I can't help but burst into laughter. The police quickly steps in, apprehending Karen and putting an end to her entitlement. Ma'am, I'm afraid I'll have to arrest you for property damage and assault. Please remain calm while we sort this out. Karen eventually gets handcuffed and escorted away, leaving behind a trail of embarrassment. As the dust settles, I survey the chaos. My door is scratched, my neighbors are peeking out their windows, and my gaming session is long forgotten. But you know what? Despite the chainsaw massacre at my front door, I can't help but feel a sense of relief. Sure, my door took a beating, but my faith in humanity remains intact. And hey, at least I've got a killer story to share at parties, right? So yeah, folks, let this be a lesson to all the Karens out there. When you let entitlement consume you, you might just find yourself face down on the ground, defeated by your own stupidity. And as for me, well, I'll be here, fixing my door and waiting for the next absurd adventure life throws my way. Stay awesome, my friends. Update. Everyone, time for an update on the Karen Chronicles. So, you remember our fearless protagonist, that's me, and the chainsaw-wielding Karen? Well, buckle up because the story doesn't end there. After Karen's arrest, let me tell you, things took an unexpected turn. I was sitting in my living room nursing a cup of coffee and trying to forget the whole chainsaw fiasco. And just as I'm starting to relax, there is a knock on my door. A bit hesitant, I cautiously open it. And who do I see standing before me? None other than the officer from before. The hero who saved the day. Hey there. Just wanted to give you a quick update. Karen, the infamous chainsaw lady, is now in police custody. Turns out this wasn't her first run-in with the law. Apparently, she has a knack for stirring up trouble and demanding to investigate everything that catches her fancy. Me raising an eyebrow? Well, she certainly left an impression on my front door. So, what happens next? Is she going to be locked up for good? Well, we're going to charge her with multiple offenses, including attempted property damage and assault. We've also found evidence that she's been causing similar disturbances in the neighborhood. The legal system will take its course, and she will have to face the consequences of her actions. Well, I'm glad to know that Karen won't be roaming the streets looking for imaginary crimes to solve. This alone brings a sense of closure to this chaotic chapter. Days turn into weeks and finally it's time for Karen's day in court. The courtroom is abuzz with anticipation as we all gather, eager to witness justice being served. As the proceedings unfold, Karen, true to form, puts on quiet the spectacle, arguing with the judge, interrupting the prosecutor, and generally making a scene. But our legal system isn't easily swayed by theatrics. The evidence against Karen is overwhelming and her entitled antics only work against her. It doesn't take long for the judge to reach a verdict. Karen, based on the evidence presented, your pattern of disruptive behavior, and your blatant disregard for the law, I find you guilty of attempted property damage and assault. You will be sentenced to 5 years in prison, anger management classes, and a restraining order against the neighborhood residents you've harassed. Needless to say, she was beyond enraged. But oh well. And you know what they say, folks? When life gives you a Karen who's a chainsaw, make sure your front door is made of oak. Stay safe out there and remember to always keep a sense of humor handy, because sometimes the best way to deal with entitled individuals is to laugh them off. Until the next wild adventure comes knocking, keep smiling and spreading positivity. Cheers! Well, howdy there. Name's Jack, your friendly neighborhood storyteller. Picture me in bell-bottom jeans, a paisley shirt, rocking a wicked mustache that even Tom Selleck would envy. I'm just living in this idyllic corner of suburbia where the grass is green, the barbecues are sizzling, and the drama is hotter than a disco dance floor. You see, I've been a proud resident of this groovy neighborhood for as long as I can remember. It's the kind of place where neighbors become like family, the block parties are legendary, and as a self-proclaimed aficionado of all things retro, I've decked out my house with funky vintage decor and groovy tunes that transport us back to the golden era of the 70s. I've got a penchant for peace, love, and good vibes, and I've always believed that life is too short to sweat the small stuff. But little did I know that my mellow existence was about to be shaken up by a character straight out of a Saturday morning cartoon. Enter Karen, the resident tornado of trouble, with a knack for stirring up a storm wherever she goes. She was a force to be reckoned with. She had a reputation for being the neighborhood's very own version of a grumpy old cat lady. Complete with a cloud of doom hanging over her head, her presence alone was enough to make folks scatter faster than roaches when the lights turned on. One day I decided to have a little get-together in my backyard, inviting my lovely neighbors over for some good old barbecue and laughter. Everyone was having a grand time, chatting, laughing, and dancing to the tunes of Earth, Wind, and Fire. The spirit of 70s funk was in the air, my friends. As I mingled with my fellow residents, I couldn't help but notice Karen lurking in the shadows. She had that look in her eye, the one that screamed trouble. Ignoring the nagging feeling in my gut, I went on enjoying the company of my friends, shaking off any ill vibes that came my way. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Karen swooped in like a tornado on a mission. She fixated her beady eyes on my treasured necklace, practically drooling over it. And in an audacious move that left me gobsmacked, she actually had the nerve to snatch at it. her pudgy fingers inching closer to my prized heirloom. I instinctively pulled away, holding my necklace close to my heart. "Whoa there, Karen. What's all this about?" I asked. Her face twisted into a scowl and she hissed,
"That necklace belongs to me. It rightfully belongs to the HOA, and I demand you hand it over."
I was taken aback by her outrageous claim. "What in the disco inferno are you talking about?"
"That necklace belongs to me, and I demand you hand it over."
I was taken aback by her outrageous claim. "What in the disco inferno are you talking about? This necklace has been in my family for generations. It's got sentimental value, you know?" Karen's beady eyes turned even colder. I was at a second thought, she raised her hand and delivered a resounding slap across my cheek. My jaw dropped, and the whole backyard fell into an uncomfortable silence. The funk music seemed to have taken a pause, waiting to see what would unfold next. I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks. "That's it, Karen. You've gone too far this time," I yelled. Our little neighborhood gathering had turned into a full-blown showdown, with all eyes on us. It was as if time stood still, everyone holding their breath, waiting to witness a resolution to this peculiar feud. Amidst the hush, the HOA president, Mr. Thompson, emerged from the crowd, a stern expression etched on his face. "Karen, what on earth do you think you're doing? This behavior is unacceptable," he exclaimed. Karen, undeterred, crossed her arms and shot a smug grin in my direction.
"I am merely reclaiming what's rightfully mine,"
she proclaimed. Mr. Thompson's eyes narrowed and he turned his attention to the surrounding neighbors. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a situation here. It is evident that Karen's behavior is out of line and has no place in our neighborhood. As president of the HOA, I am left with no choice but to take action." The crowd murmured in agreement. The neighborhood had had enough of Karen's antics, and this incident served as a final straw. With a wave of his hand, Mr. Thompson declared, "Karen, you are hereby banned from the HOA. Your actions have caused distress to our community, and we will not tolerate such behavior. Pack up your troubles and leave." With a huff, she stormed away, muttering profanities under her breath. The tension dissipated, and the backyard was once again filled with the sounds of laughter and groovy tunes. So yeah, my friends, that's the tale of how Karen got kicked out of our HOA for slapping me silly, all because she wanted my damn necklace. It's true that I considered pressing charges, but at the time I thought her getting kicked out of the HOA was enough of a punishment for someone like her. I mean, I still don't understand what the hell was she even talking about. How could she even claim that she owns my heirloom? But since it's impossible most of the time to make sense of entitled people's actions, I brushed it off, to be honest. And so yeah, it'll serve as a story that'll be passed down for generations. Stay funky, my friends, and may your neighborhood be forever free of Karens. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.